Hello, to those of you who follow the Memory Core. This is kind of a solo effort right now. By the way, it is Oberon season. So if you guys haven't gotten it and you're old enough to drink, I highly recommend getting yourself some of the Bell's Oberon Ale. Great stuff. Um, but the main point of this is I wanted to pull out a thread from the latest episode and to focus on it, and in the hopes that it gains some traction. But along with the idea of trying to see the Battletech community get better with painting and to maybe attract better painters, uh, I would like to see us sort of branch out and do different things, particularly in the neighborhood of busts of characters. And I understand that maybe that's not something that'd be really big. So we start small and see where it goes. And as said in the previous episode, I would really, really like to see a bust of Natasha Kerensky based off of the card from the MechWarrior Age of Destruction limited series for the MechWarrior card game, the CCG. Uh, I think that is probably one of the best depictions of her. She looks fantastic. She looks sexy, but not sexualized. And she's also the first named character in the IP. It's just begging to happen. And having contacted Spec, who does a lot of this stuff for Ironwind Metals, a liaison between BattleTech and IWM, the idea that I got, or the impression that I got, was that would be awesome. They would love to do something like that, but it would involve getting a sculptor that they don't have in their sort of stable. It's kind of out of their wheelhouse. And on top of that, there's a question of how it necessarily would be sculpted and if it would be financially viable for them to pursue. So while that didn't seem like a hard no, it seemed as though that's going to be really difficult for them to do. And although many of these busts tend to sell for $40 to $60 in plastic, it's still not as simple as that. And while the sculpting costs and the startup costs for metal or less, and it may end up being only $60 anyway to get it from Ironwind Metals, the question is, will it sell? So even if we were to fan fund this and put forth the money for it, and Catalyst and Topps gave the okay for it, would it sell? So I guess my proposition here, what I want to try and achieve, is to see if, as a fan initiative, if we can put together the resources to make a 3D model of it and then maybe offer it to CGL to put up on their website or maybe their store, and maybe, or even Ironwind Metals. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it would work, but to say, to gift to Ironwind, here are the files, or even if they're okay with just doing it, putting it out there for all of us just to have, but to give to Ironwind Metals or CGL, here is the STL file for a bust of Natasha Kerensky, and it can be scalable in different sizes. Do with it what you will. And if that means you put it for free for download, or whether you sell it for a couple of bucks, whatever. But I do feel that's something that BattleTech's missing, especially with what has been an emphasis on the characters that drive the story, that drive the meta, and the fact that it could probably bring in people who are very, very talented painters into the IP, into the franchise, to be interested in doing this. And you can't go wrong with Natasha Kerensky. You just can't. I don't know what would be a second character to do. I mean, obviously, this is not a piece that would be a game piece. Obviously, this is something that you get and you put on your shelf for display. But man, it'd be really cool. And especially that MechWarrior Age of Destruction image that they have for Natasha Kerensky from that card. That is awesome. That is a great one. And I'd love to see that happen. So yeah, I don't know if this is something that any of you can help with, if this is something that can gain traction, if you guys can share this and put it out there, that we can make this happen. But man, it's what I want. It's what I want. And I got no problem putting some of the money forth to make that happen, to pay a sculptor to do it. It's sort of like a gift to the community, if possible. It all depends on what Catalyst wants to do. It depends what Ironwood Metals wants to do, if they're going to be involved. And it depends on if we can find the right people to do it. But obviously, if it's a downloadable 3D file, it's a lot easier to make happen than all the costs associated with molds and other production stuff. So yeah, spread the word, guys. Spread the word. Let's see if we can make this happen. Let's see if we can make it happen.